Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Deb Coviello, and thank you for joining me on another session of the Drop In CEO Live Talk Media, where I get to share insights and inspiration, my own as well as those. And I'm just going to say, Ben Baker, colleague, friend, welcome to the conversation.
Deb, it's always a fun when you and I have a conversation together. So thanks for sharing the mic with me.
All right. Thank you so much. And for those of you that don't know Ben, he is the founder of Your Brand Marketing. He has his own podcast show, Your Living Brand, and he is also the podcast host for Hire. So check out his work. And I just want to thank everybody again. But I wanted to jump on here and just talk about 2021. Not 2020, but
Yeah,
2020.
let's have a few drinks. We'll put 2020 in the past and move on. What did we learn from it? Now it's time to move on.
Absolutely. But you know what? The one thing that is steady state is even if worst is over and we're moving forward, sometimes we still feel uncomfortable with being, and actually, we need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And, I'm doing a lot of stuff now that never done before. And I am wondering, Ben, for yourself, what does it mean to be comfortable with being uncomfortable from a personal perspective?
Well, I love it because it's a conversation my friend Allison DeFord and I had a little while ago. And she says, do one thing every day that scares you. And you look at it, you sit there and say, okay, one thing a day that scares you, that can be great because what it does is you're right. You get to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have that one thing that comes up every single day. It might be once a week, once a month, whatever, that takes you out of your comfort zone. And I think it's important for all of us because we all get comfortable. We all sit there and say, okay, I got this. I know what I'm doing. If it's going to be exactly the same today as it was yesterday, no problem. I'm good at this. But the problem is when we do that, we don't grow. We don't grow personally. We don't grow professionally. There's no innovation. Companies stagnate. And when companies stagnate, there's somebody over your shoulder who's not doing that. Somebody who is comfortable being uncomfortable, leapfrogs you. And that's reality. It's not just our own company we need to worry about and just sit there and say, oh, we're fine, we're okay. Because you may be okay. You may be just fine. You may, have good, solid relationships with your customers. You may have good, solid relationships with your vendors. You may have a good product in a service line and everything. But all of a sudden, somebody's going to figure out something better. And they're going to come out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, everything that you had built and worked for and, relied upon could get taken away from you. So that's why I tell people be a little bit, be comfortable being at least a little uncomfortable and always sit there going, okay, what's next? What's going on? What's happening around me? What should I be aware of? And how is, what's happening in the world today either going to help me or going to hinder me?
I love what you're saying, and I'm scared every day. Just being an entrepreneur and saying, gee, I need to create an ebook, Canva. I've never used Canva before, and I now have a sincere appreciation for those that are talented using that. But I was scared. I needed to get something out. I tried it. I pecked away. And you know what? Really uncomfortable, but you know what? I got a product, and now I know how to delegate it to somebody else.
There you go.
Yeah, I look at entrepreneurs. It's interesting in my space. I have a whole bunch of colleagues that are in business for themselves and they are lost. And we have an open conversation about, well, let's try this. Have you tried social media? Do you do email marketing? Upgrade your website. Think about a personal brand. And they say, yeah. But then all of a sudden they shrink and be comfortable. I mean, I'm wondering for those business owners of small entities, how do we get them to be more comfortable with it? I'm just wondering, how can we help shift them?
Well, let's take that one step backward.
Sure. Yeah.
And here's an interesting stat that probably not a lot of people know. Business plans. Everybody creates a business plan, or people should create a business plan. 60% of them never see the light of day. 60% of business plans that are created year after year never see the light of day because people are terrified about the what if. People are terrified to sit there going, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if I outlay this amount of capital and it doesn't work out? The problem is, what if you don't lay out that amount of capital and it would have succeeded? It's a matter, it's a mindset shift. It's sitting there saying, going, what if, instead of what could go wrong? And it's imagine the possibility. I'm a big believer of the glass isn't half full or half empty. It's refillable. And we all sit there and create our own destiny. And our destiny is made out of taking what we've learned in the past, understanding where we are today, realizing what our goals are, understanding what our comfort level is, and just pushing it a little bit. Just a little bit. And, not all of us are going to be billion-dollar corporations. In fact, most of us won't. Most of us are never going to 10x our business. Most of us are never going to sell our business for $100 million. But if you can go from 2 to 3 to 5 to 10 employees over a 25-year, life cycle of your business, and all of a sudden go from something that is a lifestyle business to something that is actually has the processes and the procedures and something that's viable and sellable, and you've done that by pushing yourself just a little bit, wouldn't it be worth it? And we all need to be thinking about that, both from a personal point of view and from a professional point of view. What are those little things that we can do that are going to give us the opportunity to succeed? And we're not going to succeed all the time. We're going to take money. I've taken money this year. I've probably taken $10,000 this year, in 2020, and I might as well have just flushed it down the toilet. I made some, you sit there and say, okay, looks like it's a good idea. I think this is going to go. We're going to invest a little bit of money in this. We're going to see which way it goes. And it didn't. But it doesn't keep me from sitting there going, all right, I'm never going to do that again. I may not do that particular thing ever again, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to sit there and say, when the next opportunity comes up, that I'm just going to sit there, look what happened in the past. I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to sit there and say, you know what? What did I learn from that $10,000 not doing what I want to do? And take that experience and say, all right, now that I've got another $10,000 to invest, or $20,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 or $100,000, and how do I make smarter decisions as I'm risking my capital to be able to make sure that the return on investment happens?
Ben, the language you use is very powerful, and what you've shared is really, really important. But asking the question of what can I do versus, well, that didn't work, and just let it be. What can I do? It's always seeking that channel, that avenue of least resistance. I know not to go there, but what can I do? There's no N apostrophe T. There's no not. There's no can't. There's no won't. But what can I do? And I think those are really powerful words that you need to consider, even if you're scared. What can I do? And what's in my control? Another thing that I think is really important is that even a small business, maybe it's just yourself, or like you say, 100 people, 25 people are watching. Your brand, being a risk taker, seeking success, finding ways, asking questions, how can I do it? People are watching. So if you're a business owner, or if you're just a solopreneur, your family's watching, and taking risks on the possibility that you might succeed versus failing. Modeling that behavior can impact not just yourself, but the people around you.
But here's something I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's the difference between embracing that and letting people in on the conversation versus saying, I'm just going to do this myself. There's too many business owners that are sitting there going, well, it's my risk, my responsibility. I'm going to make the decision. But think about it. If you've got employees, if you've got a family, if you've got anything, those people, are invested in that decision as well. And taking that greater thought process, you don't have to take everybody's opinion. But by sitting there going, these are 3 people that I trust. These are 3 people that I actually think have some relevant things to say, and say, what do you think about this? And gaining some experience, whether it's people within your corporation, whether it's a mentor, whether it's other business owners that you rely and trust on, whoever, to be able to sit there and say, I'm thinking about doing this. What are the pitfalls that you see? What are the things that you're looking at that you're sitting there going, oh, well, wait a second. Have you thought about this? And too many of us don't take the time and the effort before we jump in to consult. We don't have to consult everybody. We don't have to take everybody's opinion. We don't have to listen to everybody, but to sit there and say, here's 3 or 5 people that I consider pretty smart, pretty knowledgeable, have some insights in this particular thing, and asking their opinion and saying, what do you think? And, honestly listening to them. And if you get 5 people that say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and this is why, maybe taking that and say, well, I know better. Well, no, none of us are smarter than the collective, and we need to sit there and say, okay, this is a good idea. How do we modify it to be able to take their ideas into consideration and be able to modify it to be able to make it better?
Yeah, what an actionable tip. I really, really appreciate that, because bringing a couple people into the room with you while you're uncomfortable, knowing that you got to abide by that business plan, if nothing else, it takes some of the pressure off and you wind up on the other side, probably in a better place. And this reminds me of a situation. I'm coaching somebody right now. They're getting ready to go through a career change, and based on being open, asking for feedback, what should they change? She realized how much change she needs to make, and she's making those changes. And one of the things she said to me, something like this, was, I'm really excited about what I'm going through right now. I know where the end game is. Not sure how it's going to happen, but I'm really excited about where I'm going to land. And so she was very comfortable with being extremely uncomfortable. I can't wait to connect with her again and see where she lands. And so that's the bravery, that's the courage, that's some of the, skills we need to develop. And do it alone. Find a mastermind, one of us, Ben.
But it's being brave enough to ask, what do you think?
Absolutely.
And being humble enough to listen to other people. Let's face it, Michael Jordan had a coach. Tiger Woods has a coach. There's the top CEOs in North America either have coaches or mentors. Bill Gates has a mentor. His name is Warren Buffett. So you sit there and say, if some people at that level can have coaches and mentors and people that they rely on before they make key decisions in their life, why can't we?
And everybody deserves to be successful. I want to bring this to a close now. I am so excited, inspired, energized for the day. Again, this has been a conversation for everybody here, trying to find your way to be comfortable with being uncomfortable on the chance that you might actually succeed. If you like live talk media, please join me next week on Wednesday. And if you really like insights and inspiration from the likes of Ben Baker, he's already been on one of my podcasts, and thank you for always being a fantastic guest. You can be part of the Drop-In CEO community. So Ben, thank you. Thank you for your insights. You've been an amazing person to just shoot the breeze with and just share insights.
Deb, it's always a pleasure. I always love our conversations, and thanks for having me on the show.
All right. Be well, everybody. Thank you, and much success. Take care.